tyrants like Gavin Newsom just don't get it.
No,
Making good people defenseless does not make bad people harmless. Instead of using the words gun control, they should use victim disarmament. And if you believe in the Second Amendment, and if you believe that good people deserve the best tools to defend themselves and their families, then you should be a member of San Diego County Gun Owners. San Diego County Gun Owners makes it easy to connect with the community that's fighting to defend and restore your Second Amendment right. You can become a member today. It's only $10. Go to sdcgo.org/join to become a member today.
We definitely need you to join, and if you've been a member in the past and you need to renew your credit card or re-up, by all means, take the initiative and do that. It helps us tremendously do all the things, all the exciting things that we do to protect your Second Amendment rights. Today on the show, we're going to have Patrick Garcia from Firearms Legal Protection, and my old buddy Rob Morris is going to come and talk about all kinds of stuff. He is, you know Rob from a polite society, which, of course, comes from the saying, an armed society is a polite society, Dave.
I use that slogan all the time. I do.
It's true, isn't it?
Because you have to. I mean, that's the only thing that's short, sweet, and to the point.
So here's that new watch I was telling you about.
Oh.
It's good looking, right?
You got it.
Yeah. Remember? That's the one
that's gorgeous.
I got it 70% off. And I was so suspicious.
I don't like it.
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's beautiful. It's got that rose gold and it's two-tone.
Really what is it?
Sleek. It's a Tissot.
Okay.
And it's actually a commemorative Tissot. It's actually it's named after the road in Switzerland where the Tissot factory is.
Because Tissots are normally more, with all the dials and a little bit more intricate. That's very classy.
It is, right? It's like right in between. It's a sleek, classy watch that you can still wear.
Not gaudy.
It's not gaudy, and you can still wear it like every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And if
you don't have to dress up.
But if you need to dress up, wear a suit or something, it fits perfect.
That's starting to become my sweet spot. Those watches that are nice enough to wear, they're all, they're nice enough that you can wear them, but they're not so nice that you can't just wear them around.
Yeah. Well,
you can wear them on a Tuesday afternoon.
I used to get the ones with all the little dials in there and all the different, the chronic. It's just got too much. That's way, way better.
Well, okay, so
I was against that watch when you first showed me a picture of it.
Really?
Well, I said, come on.
It looks good, right?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying.
And it's big enough for my wrist. So I'm in with, I hope he doesn't, I don't think he's listening. So I'm in with Leo Hamill, right? Yeah. Talking to him last week. $300,000 watch on his wrist. $300,000 watch.
Well, what? Did you take a picture of it?
I did. It's up on my Instagram. So it's gold, but what made it a $300,000? I think you can get it less expensive now.
$299.
Yeah, it's dipped way down to $200,000. But what made it so intricate is he was telling me it has a 4-digit spot for the year, right? So it's not just 23, it's 2023. But then you kind of ask, well, why? Like, what's the significance of that? It actually has a calendar,
right?
That
include leap year.
I
read that.
Not only does it include leap year, but every 100 years, unless it's divisible by 500, there is no leap year. And this watch tracks that. I'm like, how is that? That watch is still going to be around in 500 years?
Okay, $300,000. I think I can adjust it myself. I'm sorry. I mean, for $300,000.
Well, the other thing is it's automatic, so you have to keep it in motion.
Yeah,
if it winds down.
Yeah, you actually wrote quite a bit about that watch when you posted it.
I was pretty impressed. Most intricate watch. I think they've come up with a couple more watches that are more intricate, but at the time it was the most intricate watch ever made.
You could buy a McLaren.
You could buy 600 of these watches with that amount.
Oh, they use Roman numerals in here?
Yeah.
Oh, that's even better.
Classy.
I love Roman numerals.
I'm classy, man.
Yeah, you are classy. You are classy.
I'm all about classy.
That eats at Denny's.
I'm not like some slave to fashion or anything, but
True.
I'm certainly not
on your
vain.
wrist. You are.
But this is perfect for that.
But now you're going to want a $300,000.
I don't want anything for $300,000. The only thing I want for $300,000 is $300,000.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Which costs about $300,000.
Exactly.
Okay, so Orange County Gun Owners, we had a town hall last week, and it was really, really great. We talked about some of the policies that the state is doing or has done that has made it more dangerous. They're basically catering to criminals. They're letting them out of jails. They're not charging them with crimes when they should be. They've basically gotten rid of felonies. They've made your society and your neighborhoods more dangerous. And we talked about that and how Orange County Gun Owners, San Diego County Gun Owners, and Inland Empire Gun Owners can help with that. Not only can we help keep you safe, but we can help you get the right people elected so these stupid laws don't pass. And it went really well. It was in Dana Point, beautiful little beach town.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody was super, super engaged. Mike Munzing, who's on the city council, he's the what do they call it? The mayor, what do you call it? Vice mayor of Aliso Viejo, and he is a legit gun guy. He's not one of these guys who got into politics and then decided he liked guns. He is a gun guy who got into politics, which is very, very cool. So he was there. He spoke. And it went really, really well. Big thank you to Reform California. Big thank you to USCCA, who were both there. And a huge thank you to Mike Munzing and, of course, all the brand new Orange County Gun Owners members that resulted from that town hall. It went really, really well.
By the way, get a new phone.
Why?
That's the fuzziest picture I ever
I know.
seen.
That's my bad. That's on me.
Now, now, not to change the subject, what's the brand?
I don't even know. Some fancy.
Because it doesn't.
There was nothing I'd heard of.
You can't. IVC, it looks like, but it's
it is. I'm sorry, it was something. It's IWC.
IWC.
Oh, it is something I've heard of. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It was. Yeah, my bad. It was IWC, which most watch people know. IWC, Breitling, Omega, Rolex.
You should have taken another picture, darn it.
Rolex is. I'm not a big fan of Rolex. I don't really want a Rolex.
I'm not a Rolexy guy.
But can you think of another brand that dominates its industry more than Rolex dominates watches?
No. You know why? Because they're in everything.
I was going to say Ray-Bans for sunglasses, possibly. But.
No, I don't even think that's close.
I think that's it was a stretch. I wanted to try it out.
Go back to
Okay.
I don't even think that's close. I think that you're on the right track, but I don't even think it's close. Rolex is so dominant. Mm-hmm. You don't even you could never have owned a watch before, and if you tell somebody Rolex, they're like, "Oh yeah, you mean the really nice watches?"
Well, yeah. Rolex is the watches where Kleenex is facial tissue.
Oh, yeah, and then some. The other thing is like cars. I'm sure that there are things that Ford invented and that GMC
but
invented.
Ferrari is Ferrari.
But Rolex, every feature on it, everything except for maybe Seiko. Seiko did a couple of things first, but Rolex did everything first. They're amazing.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but
Well, we're trying to get off food, and we're going to replace that with watch talk.
Well, I'm a big watch guy too. Trust me.
I know I got to tell you, I think they're super interesting. I think there are a few things that that men that are like truly the arena. They're truly like masculine men things. You know what I mean?
But the younger generation does not wear watches.
That is not true. We wear watches constantly.
I don't see a watch on your hand.
I'm telling you, hip hop culture has done so many things with watches.
Matt's pointing at his wrist. You're wearing a watch. How old are you, Matt?
Where's your watch?
He's like 15
Brendan.
or something.
Where's my watch? I left it at home.
I
don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, watches are so popular.
How many do you have?
They're coming
I
back.
have at least 3, but again, they're not fancy kinds at all. These are like survival, outdoorsy kind of watches.
Right. Nothing wrong with that.
$9.95.
Like 15 years.
Like
there's like basically iPhones and Fitbits and all that. They kind of ruined watches for
They
a little
really
bit.
did, I think.
But
I
they're
love
coming
watches.
back. They're coming back. I'm seeing to it.
Yeah, you are.
All right.
Well, you make me want to go out and buy a watch every time I see that, but that's absolutely gorgeous.
Before we go to break, San Diego County Gun Owners, we're having our Christmas party. It's on December 14th. Go to SanDiegoCountyGunOwners.com. Look for information. Check your email. We're going to have an RSVP up, free to attend, and you could win a gun, and there will be eggnog and all kinds of merriment, and it's totally free.
And I'm going to win the ugly sweater.
That's right.
I just got it in the mail yesterday.
All right. I'm looking forward.
You haven't got a prayer.
We're going to have an ugly sweater contest.
You haven't got a prayer.
You got to thank Desi for that.
Yeah, I will.
She's the...
you wait till you see mine.
I can't wait.
Hey, if you own a gun in California, you should have an attorney that specializes in California gun laws on your speed dial. Because if you ever have legal matters that involve firearms, you need California firearm lawyer John Dillon, especially if you have questions about red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, Or maybe you just need to know that your guns are California compliant. Our trusted firearms attorney is John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws. Put his number on your phone right now, 760-642-7150. That's John Dillon, California firearms lawyer, 760-642-7150.
So everybody knows we had a really cool gun show / gun symposium a few weeks ago, about a month ago, and it went off really, really well. A big thank you to Firearms Legal Protection for your support for the Gun Owners Symposium and for providing the coffee that everybody got to enjoy as a symposium attendee. So everybody got to enjoy some red, white, and badass brew from our friend Dustin Hayes, and that was courtesy of Firearms Legal Protection. So we asked Patrick Garcia to come and talk to the audience. He's from Firearms Legal Protection. How are you, Patrick?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, man. So first off, thank you so much, Firearms Legal Protection, for doing that, for sponsoring the coffee. It means a lot. It was super helpful, and it made the symposium that much better. So thank you very much for doing that.
So what was interesting about the coffee is it was whiskey coffee or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, now you tell him.
No. I'm very familiar.
That's why the symposium went off as well as it did.
It's called what's it called? It's called
he might know.
Whiskey. I forget, but it's super good, isn't it? Did you have some?
Yeah, it was great. It was just, yeah. I staggered down over to the podium, and then I gave a presentation afterwards.
Yeah, it was super good. All right, cool. So what did you think of the symposium, and how did it go for you?
It went well. It was down in the basement area, which is a nice little area, and people can ask questions. You can answer them, and it's very intimate. So that was nice. The lighting down there was fantastic, and your crew did an awesome job.
Yeah, Chauncey and Rich and those guys are absolutely fantastic as far as the lighting and the videography and everything. They did a really good job, and you can see a lot. I'm pretty sure you're up there on our YouTube channel. If you go to Gun Owners Radio's YouTube channel on YouTube.
I did. I saw it. It's kind of funny when you see yourself. It's better to see someone else.
Oh, believe me, I get it. It's the worst in the whole world to have your smiling face up there. Rest assured that when I remember watching it, and I thought you did great, you looked great, and it went really, really well for you. Why don't we tell people who Firearms Legal Protection is and what you do for them, and give a little bit about your background?
Okay, we're legal defense for self-defense. So Firearms Legal Protection has been in business for over 10 years. We're out of Dallas, Texas. And I've been in this industry for almost 6 years now. I mean, I was with a previous company that was out of Texas also, did a similar thing. And we offer some unique things in the industry for legal protection. So if you're in any situation where you have to defend yourself and you end up hurting someone, injuring or killing them, you're going to get an attorney on retainer. And you have that attorney in your pocket, and you just call that number. You had an ad for an attorney for similar things that we're doing now, just on before I got on. And same thing. Call that number, an attorney answers, and you have your attorney-client relationship immediately.
That's awesome. And it's anything you can use if you have to defend yourself with a frying pan or a firearm. If you have a CCW or not, it's all for you, right? It's legal defense for self-defense, not just for people who have a gun, not just for people who carry a gun for self-defense outside of the home, right?
That's correct.
That's awesome. And what's your background? Tell us a little bit about your background, your resume.
It's not so much in the gun arena. It's more in the marketing and sales management and just management. I've done a lot of things in the past that has given me the opportunity to be like an entrepreneur out here in California. I started another company in California because you have to get a license to start working in each state to go ahead and sell these products. And so I've done that with my previous company and then now. So you go out and talk to gun shops and instructors and anyone that's interested in the 2A community, and try and get them interested and do as many talks as I can. Try and get to the CCW classes. That's ideal. because those people really need to have a product, and we have the lowest cost product in the United States.
Well, and you guys are all over California, meaning you guys are marketing heavily to California, and I'd be willing to bet that if if we went back, I don't know, 10 years, that you guys would never think that California would be such an important market for this because of our horrible carry laws at the time, which have changed significantly. But, now you have San Diego's got, we're closing in on 16,000 carry permits. Orange County has like twice that. Riverside and Inland Empire have everybody, not just since the Bruin decision, but even before that, there are tens of thousands across Southern California carrying, which I think is that ever a discussion at FLP? Do you guys ever go, man, can't believe California is such a big and popular market?
It is a big, huge market. The population's high. The percentage of CCWs is one of the fifth lowest in the nation, though.
Well, because we have such a big population, and we've had to catch up. All these other 42 or whatever other states have been issuing for decades, and we've been issuing for years. It's just amazing that I don't think anyone ever really saw a light at the end of the tunnel, and here we are.
Even in San Francisco now, they're starting to issue. And one of the problems they're having is they don't have an infrastructure to do it quickly. So they're having to get new people that have a new program. They don't go to the people who've been doing it forever and get schooled on it, so they know exactly what to do and how many people they need for how many applications and all that stuff.
Well, they're a
little slow.
We'll talk about a place where you need a CCW too, man. San Francisco has turned into Beirut in the last 10, 15 years. It's tragic. It's sad. I mean, you want to laugh at it because it's such a ridiculous joke, but it really truly is sad. It was such a beautiful, amazing city, and it's just absolutely been destroyed by public policy.
And you're so true. I haven't been there, and I live about 2 hours away, and I grew up in the Silicon Valley. Mm-hmm. And we used to go there, and it was beautiful. And you go to, Pier 39 and everything. But now you have crime down there. You have the homeless. You have it's dirty. It used to be a clean city. It's just a dirty city. It's someplace I really don't want to go anymore.
Oh yeah, but it's being cleaned up right now, so we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Those words don't do much when it comes to cleaning that up, does it?
Yeah, and I can't believe that he's well. I know why he's doing it, but I can't believe he's doing it. It's just terrible.
Who? What do you mean? He?
Oh, no. You didn't hear that they're out there and they're working 24/7 to clean up San Francisco because of the Asian.
Oh, because the Chinese
they're coming to visit.
Government's coming to visit.
And he says, well, wait a minute. When people come to visit your house, don't you go out? Don't you clean your home before people come to visit?
Well, I don't usually have, dangerous, violent, drug-abusing gangs in my home that I have to clean up.
I know. I couldn't believe it.
It really is horrible. A few years ago, those, Patrick, those like the travel advisories that the State Department issues where they say, hey, don't go to, whatever country because it's not safe for Americans. You know those advisories I'm talking about?
All the time, yeah.
So we actually, a few years ago, copied one of those advisories and told people, in San Diego and Orange and everywhere where we reach, we said, gun owners do not go to San Francisco. It is not safe. And it was basically it was serious, and in at the end of the day, but it was kind of a tongue-in-cheek way of pointing out the fact that it's turned so horrible. It's turned so horrible, and we should probably reissue that. It's been a few years. I wonder if people have forgotten. It's gotten worse. So.
And what's so interesting is everyone thinks you can't carry in San Francisco.
Oh, really?
They're like, oh, yeah, but I can't go to San Francisco. Yeah, you can go to San Francisco because it's for California. When you have a CCW, it's entire California, all the counties.
I think that's a good point. So, okay, so how do you guys, is it different? Is there a different plan? Or do you guys feel like you have to do things differently as far as marketing to gun owners in California as opposed to gun owners in Texas?
No, it's about the same. Boots on the ground with us is the strongest way to get to the individuals out there and go to instructors and CCW classes because those are the ones that are more interested and have a greater risk, I would say, of probably exposing their firearm and maybe even using it for self-defense. So if that does happen, someone's going to get hurt, someone's going to be upset, some property is going to be hurt, damaged, and they will need an attorney, and that's what we provide. We have an attorney-answered hotline 24/7. Someone is always on call. In California, we have 16 different attorneys all the way from Wairika down to San Diego. So someone's always available, and then they dispatch the closest one depending on where you're at.
That's awesome.
And our costs for this are it's ridiculous. It's for just the California coverage for unlimited attorney is less than $10 a month. And then for national, it's less than $22 a month.
Meaning if you can either be covered just in California or you can be covered in all 50 states depending on what
Correct.
your needs are. Wow.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't travel. You know, they go, shoot, I don't even go out. I don't even go to Nevada because now used to go to Nevada to gamble, but now with all the casinos here, you don't really have to do that as much, and everyone's built up venues where you can see the old bands of the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? Hey, have you ever wanted to get a pilot's license?
Yes.
Well, here in San Diego, pilots can fly almost every day, which makes San Diego one of the best places to learn how to fly in the world. Learn to fly with San Diego Flight Training International. Check out these deals just for gun owner radio listeners. 1 hour of ground school, 1 hour of flight with an instructor. Yeah, you get to fly. Normally it's $400, and for listeners, it's only $350. Getting started is real easy. Call them at 858-569-1822. Learn to fly with SDFTI. That's 858-569-1822.
If you've made the decision that you need a CCW and are going through the process or have gone through the process, then you've also made the decision that it is a realistic possibility that someday you're going to have to use your firearm in self-defense. If you've made the decision that someday you're going to have to use your firearm in self-defense, then you've also maybe unknowingly made the decision that you're going to need an attorney one day.
No, you are going to need an attorney.
Yeah.
The minute you fire the gun or pull it out, they will arrest you.
That's what I said. So if you've made the decision you need a CCW, then you've made the decision you're going to need a gun, or at least the possibility you're going to need a gun one day. And if you've made that decision, then you've made the decision that you're going to need an attorney.
Yeah.
Period.
It's got to be part of the package.
Absolutely. So when people ask me, gee, how much does it cost to get a CCW? And I tell them, well, for training, it's this much. The state and county, it's about $200. Training's at least $200 to take the class, although that's going to go up here soon. The holster's at least $100. And I go down the list, and one of the things I add is you're going to need some kind of insurance. I call it CCW insurance or defense insurance. Some people, it may not be the exact definition of insurance. You might just call it a membership organization, whatever. But you're going to need to pay somebody monthly because you may need an attorney one day if you use your firearm for self-defense. So for that reason, you got to check out Firearms Legal Protection. And we're talking to Patrick Garcia about Firearms Legal Protection. So, Patrick, when you are in a self-defense, a defensive gun use scenario, a DGU, what exactly will FLP do for you? What exactly are they? You're paying the whatever per month, $10 to $20 a month, depending on what you get. What exactly does FLP do for you after you're in a defensive gun use situation?
Well, first of all, you have to get yourself safe, and that's one of the reasons you want to have that CCW. But once you do that and you call 911 for whatever type of help for yourself or for someone else, and we go through what you should and shouldn't say on that, and you had a little clip on your website on the Facebook I saw that I was talking about it, what you should and shouldn't say. Then you call us. We have a number to call directly to an attorney, and they will walk you through. You want to make sure when you make that phone call that you're alone, and you won't have someone else being a witness to the phone call because you want that to be private. And they're going to walk you through what you did. Don't make a statement. We'll make a statement later. We'll cooperate 100%. Keep me on the phone until the police arrive, and then They won't ask you any questions because we're going to revoke a bunch of rights. So that's really what we're going to do. And then once we get through it, it's unlimited attorney in civil and criminal.
Yeah.
And you'll never receive an attorney bill with our company.
Wow.
So that's what it is. 95% of all the costs as you get into the court system, which is a system, is going to be your attorney. And that's what we're trying to protect. And you can get dragged through it when you do everything right. It's just the system.
So let's talk. Okay. So total, layman talk here, talk to me like I'm 5 years old, Patrick. So I defend myself with a firearm. Cops show up. I'm being professional and polite. And you guys would at that point provide the attorney, and the attorney would tell you basically what to do. Hey, don't say this. Let me talk to the cops. Don't make a statement without me. That kind of thing. Your attorney would make sure that to guide you through what you should and shouldn't do in that situation. Now, let's say you get arrested.
Okay.
You guys would also do you guys bail that person out, or how does that work?
Okay. We have 3 plans: an individual basic, that's just California attorney; the premium, which is our medium one, which is less than $22 a month. That one includes $250,000 in bail, so we bail them out. $10,000 in expert witness, $10,000 in private investigation because attorneys don't do investigations. $5,000 in incident cleanup if there's blood somewhere in your car or house. You don't want to clean that up. We have $1,500 in lost wages if you go to trial, and $2,500 if you need some mental health. So those are the things we offer.
Okay.
So, like if you feel bad about it, you just need to talk to a shrink.
Sure.
We provide that.
Which I would imagine. I mean, gosh, I don't even want to think about having to be involved in a defensive gun use situation. I would imagine that would. You'd live, you'd have your life, but I would imagine that incident would haunt you for the rest of your life in some way. And I'm sure that it's possible to get over it and live a good life. But gosh, having to go through professional mental health help, I'm sure is a very real possibility. Okay, so you go through defensive gun use. Cops arrest you. You already have an attorney, thanks to FLP, if you're covered by FLP. You have an attorney. The attorney guides you through the situation. You get bailed out. They pay for your house to get cleaned if need be, because that's a very specialized type of cleaning. If you have some kind of defensive gun use in your house or whatever, they even cover some of your lost wages. They cover a professional witness. What is a professional witness? Like, what does that mean?
Okay, so if you're in a self-defense situation and they bring in some witnesses, they could bring in a ballistic person. They could bring in your CCW trainer on CC. What kind of training did you actually have for your CCW? And they can go through the syllabus and what they're shooting in that particular, because it's different in the qualifying in every single county. What you had to go through, how many hours of training you had. Do you have your old target? Did you hit everything, or were you all over the place? So that's what the expert witness is going to do. They're just going to kind of explain things so that everyone in the jury knows. Now, when you get to the jury selection, that's the kind of the tough part, because most people are deselected because of knowledge. And you're not going to get...
What does that mean? You said during the jury selection, most people are deselected because of their knowledge. Talk to me like I'm 5. What does that mean?
Let's say that it's about a teacher, and you happen to be a teacher, and you know about teachers. Mm-hmm. So, well, then they're going to excuse you right away.
Interesting.
If it's about
if I'm a
policeman,
yeah, so they're picking a jury, and they say, hey, they question the jury, and they find out, hey, this is a firearms case, and I'm a firearms expert. You're probably you're not going to be on that jury, or if you're
going to get excused.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. That's extremely important.
Guns, you're probably going to get excused too if you say, "Oh yeah, well, my parents never allowed firearms anywhere, and if I see one, it's evil." Those kind of people are going to get. So you're going to get someone with just moderate knowledge in there, and that's why you need the expert witness to let them know what's going on and why they have these CCW classes, why we train them, why safety is number one, all that stuff.
I think we've had him on here before. I think the most well-known gun related professional witness would be Masad Ayub, I think. I can't think of anybody who's more well.
Everyone knows him.
Everybody knows him.
His name.
Everybody knows his name. So when he talks about, we have him on here and he talks about different cases. He knows that because he was probably an expert, a hired expert witness, and they hire the expert witness to be able to explain to the jurors who don't know, whatever, they don't know anything. They're purposely not experts in whatever they're talking about here. So they don't, and they want to do that because they want a jury without preconceived notions about what's going on. They want as blank a slate as they can possibly get. And so that's expert witness is hired to explain to that person, hey, this is the reality of whatever situation we're talking about. That kind of describes it, right?
That's exactly right.
And you guys help, and that gets expensive, and you guys help pay for that. If you don't have that, you don't have much of a case usually.
Well, you can still get it, but you'll have to pay it out of pocket.
Yeah.
So that's when you get into a trial situation. You get all these people coming in, and you can have 5, 6, 7, 8 expert witnesses in different areas of expertise for whatever the situation is, and it can get very expensive. So we pay for about $10,000 and $10,000 in private investigation because sometimes you have to research somebody else, and the attorneys don't do that.
Yeah, and if you get into a defensive gun use situation, what would you? I mean, just like not a national news, not like I don't know, Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman type situation, but just you've defended yourself in your home. Maybe it doesn't even make the papers. How much would that normally be without firearms legal protection? How much would you be paying an attorney and court fees and everything out of pocket, do you think?
Well, just to get it started, depending on where you are, like in San Diego, it's going to be anywhere from probably like $20,000 to $30,000 to get an attorney on retainer.
Yeah.
Just to start, because they have to get up to speed on whatever they're doing. And you want a Second Amendment person, then it could go on for 2 years.
Yeah.
Without being a big deal, but all of a sudden, we need an extension and a continuance. And it just keeps going on and on and on. And when I talk to people in class, I say, well, anyone been through our court system? And some people, yeah, no. So when they say, yeah, I said, well, here's 3 adjectives you probably use. It was fast, it was inexpensive, and it was unemotional. And they go, what? That's none of that. And I said, that's exactly right. It's just the opposite. And then they laugh, and they say, yeah, I thought this was going to go on for about, 2 months and get into court and get out. And next thing, it lasted 2 years. That 2 years is going to get you up to about $200,000.
Jeez, pretty easily, huh? Pretty easily at least 50, and getting up to $200,000. Probably blink of an eye.
You get 2 partners working on something at $400 an hour. That's $800 an hour, and the price goes up really quick.
And how much do you think like Zimmerman in the Trayvon Martin case and Rittenhouse, like a big national case like that, would you guess that's probably pushing $1 million?
Yeah, I read that it was $1 million. I also read that in the criminal, he was able to get a GoFundMe and fund that. And in the civil, he was not, or something. But I don't know. That it hasn't gone that far yet. So that's been a few years ago, right?
Yeah, it was a few years ago. How do people find out if they're interested in FLP, if they want to be a member of Firearms Legal Protection? Where do they go? What do they do?
Well, there's a couple things. I think you may have a link on one of your sites.
GunOwnersRadio.com. I'm pretty sure we do.
And for FLP.
Okay. So go to GunOwnersRadio.com and follow the link to Firearms Legal Protection. Check it out, and highly recommend you get. I got to tell you, check out FLP. They've been extremely supportive of Gun Owners Radio, so go check them out.
Use code GOR.
Use code GOR for a discount at firearmslegal.com. But you got to get something. If you're a gun owner, especially if you're a CCW holder, get some kind of service. We recommend start out with firearmslegal.com and use code GOR for a discount.
That's exactly right.
All right, man. Thank you so much, Patrick. Appreciate you guys. Again, thank everybody at FLP for supporting our symposium. Our next symposium is going to be the first weekend in March, and it's going to be at an even bigger, better neater, cooler venue, and it's going to be very, very cool. So maybe FLP will be a part of that as well. But thank you so much for supporting us.
Okay, and thank you for having me on here.
Hey, Riverside, San Bernardino.
Yep.
Even with the Broen case,
Right.
the gun grabbers are getting even more desperate. Gavin Newsom's 28th Amendment would gut the Second Amendment. He also just signed SB 2 that prohibits concealed carry everywhere. AB 28 adds an 11% tax on guns and ammo, so self-defense would be priced out of reach for more people. Let's face it, all these laws disarm only the people that would use a gun to defend themselves. If you are ready to fight back and do something to defend your Second Amendment right, Inland Empire Gun Owners is for you. When you become a member, you're joining the most effective local Second Amendment advocacy group in the nation. We're growing the 2A community and are getting more pro-2A officials elected. Membership is only $10 a month, and joining is super easy. Just go to iegunowners.com/join.
So I wanted to have a discussion, Dave.
Yes.
And this keeps coming up. The basic question is, should 2A be pro-cop? So should Second Amendment advocates be pro-cop, pro-police, pro-law enforcement?
As a blanket, yes.
Well, so so I think the first thing we need to do is talk about, well, what does that mean? What does it mean to be pro? What's the definition of being pro-cop? Yeah. And I think that people who are that are passionate about the Second Amendment, I mean, real Second Amendment advocates, not the ones that just kind of give it lip service and it's just kind of, it's number 8 on their list of priorities behind, 7 other whatever hot button items or whatever. I'm talking about people that are really truly passionate about it, that live and breathe it, that show up at city council meetings, that go to the meetings, that pay the legal bills, all the things, the real Second Amendment advocates. Should they be pro Second Amendment? Pro cop. And their concern is all these horrible laws that we fight against. Who enforces them?
Cops.
So it's understandable where it's like, well, wait a minute. So it's not Gavin Newsom showing up on your doorstep saying, "Give me your gun." It's going to be a police officer. It's not Gavin Newsom who's pulling you over,
and he has to do his job.
Okay.
A police officer, or he's going to lose his job.
I hear you. But that's the fear, where it's, all officers have a certain amount of latitude, right?
But you have sheriffs already saying, not going to enforce that.
You do some, and then you have sheriffs that are doubling down on it. I mean, I'll give you an example. It's getting way better now that they're actually issuing CCWs. But before they had CCWs, you'd regularly see stories in California where a law enforcement officer pulls somebody over, one of the few people who has a CCW, and boom, that person ends up in cuffs on the sidewalk, disarmed, now at traffic stops, turned into an hour and a half, and that's not, when you say, well, hey, a cop has to do his job. No cop has to do that. They choose to do that, So I think what we're talking about is...
Okay, I disagree.
Okay.
Because when you become a law enforcement officer, you are bound to follow the law and follow the law.
Yeah, but it's not if you pull over someone for speeding and find out that they have a gun and they're a CCW holder,
okay,
it is not you don't have to cuff this person.
Oh no, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. No, you're absolutely right.
Like if they say, "Hey, Officer so and so, today your job at 9 a.m. You and 10 other people are going to go over to this guy's house." And he broke the law or whatever. He's being investigated. You're going to go in and we're going to deliver this warrant. You're going to take all the firearms out of his safe.
Yeah,
and
that's
he's doing his job.
Yeah,
but
what about the guy in New York? Did you see the guy in New York? A homeless guy opened up a security gate and allowed this lady to come through without paying to come in to the subway, and then he turned around and said, "Give me money."
I didn't see it.
And she said, "No, I'm not going to do it." Well, there was a gentleman walking along the subway and seen it, reached into his bag, pulled out his gun, and yelled at the guy. The guy wasn't still harassing the you know what out of her, so he fired 2 rounds into the ceiling and the guy ran away.
Yeah.
So they arrested the criminal.
A lot of mistakes so far.
Yeah, I know. I think he had a CCW.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive.
Yeah.
They arrested the criminal.
Yeah.
And they arrested him. And the head of the subway transit authority said, "This will never happen in my subway."
I don't know about that situation, but I can already pick out like 10.
So they let
mistakes
they let the guy out with no bail.
Yeah.
And they charged this guy $10,000.
That I don't know. But I think what people are talking about when, Second Amendment advocates, what they're talking about when they talk about, hey, should we or should we not be pro law enforcement? What they're talking about is, should we defend, this back the blue or, whatever, this idea that cops are always right, that even when they make mistakes, they should be defended.
No, you can't do that.
I don't think we're talking about, I know my personal feelings are a cop who is overly aggressive or doing, abusing his or her authority is like one of the worst people in society.
Without a doubt.
And a cop who is really truly protects and serves and honors someone's constitutional rights, that person walks on water in my mind. Like, that guy's a hero or girl, because they're, so many jobs out there. You'll never be on the other end of a gun. There's so many desk jobs and sales jobs and IT jobs and customer service jobs and whatever. You're never going to look down the barrel of someone else's gun.
Right.
So
in those jobs.
So taking a job where that's a real possibility and doing that job as a hero, you're respecting someone's constitutional rights. You're treating people as equals. You're really truly protecting and serving and telling the truth and trying to stop crime. That person, I get it, man. Right. I'm like, wow, that guy. How does he or she do that?
Right.
But this idea that, hey, look, that police officer made a mistake or had a bad day or whatever, and therefore we're gonna let it slide. No,
you can't let it slide.
I get that. But I do think that for example, I know the NRA, about 20 years ago, did this effort to kind of put their arms around law enforcement in the hopes that law enforcement would adopt their ideals and their principles. I don't think that. I think it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
I don't think that worked at all.
Do we still have the NRA?
Well, I think there are some sheriffs out there that are like, hey, I'm pro Second Amendment. That's important. But I don't think anybody was moved. I don't think anybody, I think that the police officers who have opinions. I don't think that, putting our arms around them and whatever, that's not going to change their Second Amendment opinion. They're either pro or they're not.
Who was that sheriff that was running for sheriff? Hemmerling. There's a prime example right there.
Yeah. He was a
prime example.
He was like the definitive.
He was a poster child.
I'm pro Second Amendment, but
yeah. So there's a prime example right there. So I agree. I would agree with you on that. I really did.
But it's tough, and I think that people see cops and like, hey, that person carries a gun for a living. You're a gun guy or girl. You're an advocate for.
So you
people
must be a Second Amendment guy.
Yeah, but there's a very non-opaque line between an advocate and a law enforcement officer. And I think that they need to earn their almost like a politician.
Sure,
they have to earn their way into being called pro Second Amendment.
Right,
it's by default.
You can't just say it, just to say it, and then not follow through.
And I think it's not even so much of it isn't their fault. Like I think one of the most I've talked about this on the show. I think one of the most important developments that the United States, one of our most important accomplishments, is that we've made a distinct line between military and law enforcement, because the British military was basically federal law enforcement,
right,
back in the colonies, and we said, all right, well, that's not going to happen again. But the mistake made is that so many people with good intentions have turned law enforcement into a military.
Isn't that happening now?
It's happened. We're there.
I think we're there.
We're smack dab.
Yeah.
I was up in Orange County last week, and I saw some guys all kitted out. They look like a SEAL team, Green Beret SWAT team, and they were state parks guys. They were rangers. They were, hey, boo-boo, where's the picnic basket? They were those guys.
Really?
And I'm like, what are you guys dealing with as a park ranger that you're all SEAL Team 6. What is going on here?
Let me give you another example. La Mesa Car Show. Guy drives up in a bucket T. He's got a dealer plate on his bucket T.
Yeah.
Somebody calls DMV. They roll up with AKs, flak jackets, the whole bit, and arrested the guy for having a dealer plate on his bucket T.
A dealer plate, great.
A dealer plate.
Oh, I think it's an important discussion. I don't think we're done yet. Let's call this part one of a discussion. I think we need to continue to have, and maybe even get some
experts.
Some experts. Get some people in here and weigh in. Like, hey, what does it mean to be pro law enforcement if you're pro 2A? Should we? Shouldn't we? Where do we draw lines? I think it's extremely important.
Hey, the fight for the Second Amendment is also happening in Orange County. Orange County Gun Owners leads the fight on the city and county levels to defend and protect your self-defense rights. How do they do it?
I don't know.
They do it by fundraising and getting local pro-gun candidates elected. Become a member today. Go to ocgunowners.com/join and join the growing number of responsible gun owners stepping up to defend our Second Amendment rights. That's ocgunowners.com.
So let's see. We got winners and prizes and stuff, don't we?
Yeah, you do.
And then we want to talk about the election that happened last week. Mm-hmm. So subscribe and win. Subscribe to our email list and win some swag. This week's winner is Austin King.
Need to send an email.
There we go. Okay, Austin. Email prizes at gunownersradio.com to claim your T-shirt or hat. I think Austin I think he's my favorite winner in a while. You know why?
Because it was easier to say.
Because I can pronounce his name. Everybody else has been like 14 consonants and then a Y. Some vowel I've never even heard of. Okay.
Try recording Hawaiian commercials like we have to do nowadays.
I lived in Hawaii for 4 years.
He's having all kinds of trouble. He's having to do voiceovers with every letter in the alphabet.
Not even joking. If you need help with that, let me know.
Okay, I will.
Now that I'm thinking it through, it's been a while. But dude, I was like, I was the king. What was it? What's the state fish for Hawaii? Yeah,
tuna.
No,
what?
It's the humu humu nuku nuku wapawaa.
Is it really?
Yep.
Is it tasty?
It's tiny.
Oh, well,
the name is.
How could that fish be bigger? Or the name be bigger than the fish?
The name is bigger than the fish. The humu humu nuku nuku wapawaa.
Okay, remember I talked about that guy in the subway?
Yes.
That's our topic.
No, we're not sure what we're talking about.
Well, I know, but it's our topic.
What? But no, it's not our topic.
Somebody wrote it down.
Well, he's wrong. He's always wrong.
Okay.
So what we do want to talk about is the fact there was an election last week and that it was for the supervisor. What happened was everybody's
4th district.
Yep, 4th District 4. Everyone's favorite supervisor got kicked out of office. Mm-hmm. Nathan Fletcher. Mm-hmm. Aw. I sure wish him the best.
I do too. I understand he's in rehab.
He needs to be in a lot of rehabs. Good. I wonder what he's doing. I hope he's.
I seen him at In-N-Out. He's flipping
burgers.
Yeah, I seen him.
I don't think he's qualified.
Yeah, well, he was yelling at everybody.
Well, he flipped parties, so now he's flipping burgers.
Yeah.
That's a meme. There's a meme there somewhere.
There's got to be a meme right there.
Flipping burgers to flipping parties to flipping burgers. So he got booted out of office, which is awesome. I can't even tell you. I get so frustrated with the political process, and when a bad person gets booted out of office like that and is disgraced. Like I was really looking. I was worried about the idea of him obtaining higher office and then eventually kind of being this respected statesman that everyone listens to after he's out of office. But no, he's a disgraced loser who harassed a woman, at least one woman, and I hope he just absolutely has a miserable rest of his life. I really, truly do, because he's not a good guy. So that sparked a special election, and there was a runoff, and now there's a winner. And Amy Reichart, who San Diego County Gun Owners endorsed, unfortunately didn't quite make it. So I wanted to talk about exactly why that happened. Why was she unable to win? And it really doesn't. A lot of people. Well, the candidate or the amount of work or the organization or not enough this or not enough that or whatever. Really, truly boiled down to math. That district, District 4 for the supervisors, is, first off, that's 1/5 of the county. So there's 3.5 million people in the county. Not all of them are voters. Certainly not all of them are, 18. so they're not even old enough to vote. But that's still, that district in theory represents about 1/5 of 3.5 million people. That's a huge district. That's a lot of people. And that district in particular covered a lot of downtown San Diego that is predominantly registered Democrat. A lot of Democrats. I don't mean it's not even close. There are a ton of Democrats registered in that district. So right off the bat, the math is enormously impossible. You know, if every single person voted, which they don't, it's rarely even the majority of registered or of people who could vote. Sometimes even it's the minority of people who are registered to vote who even show up to vote. But if everybody showed up to vote, it may be a different thing. But huge math problem, number one, and everybody recognized that. Everybody knew it. Anybody who's putting any kind of money into elections, you know, and analyzed it and said, hey, you know what? The math is so far against us that it's just, there's no way. We're not going to win.
May I point out very quickly, Michael, I just looked it up on livevoterturnout.com. Mm-hmm. Only 22% of people actually turned out to vote in that district alone. So
that's 22% of registered voters in that district?
Correct.
It's not even 22% of people who could register and vote.
Exactly.
So it's a tiny percentage of people that even showed up, which is, you know, part of the problem. But you know, and it could be made. The case could be made that, hey, if every single Republican had shown up and voted, yeah, you know what, that's totally true. And if frogs had wings, they could fly. You know, it's just it never happens. It's never going to happen. It's not a realistic scenario. So the other thing is the Democrats ran a candidate who was already elected, someone who's already been voted into office on the city council. And that person's district was, I think, entirely inside District 4. So her city council district was almost entirely, if not entirely, in District 4. And in that district, she received something like 70% of the votes when she ran. So she's a popular incumbent for city council. She's a popular elected official for city council, and her whole district is in District 4, and the math is heavily skewed towards her political party, which is Democrat. I mean, just that is that before you even analyze, like, well, gee, how good was how good was Amy? How good was her campaign? How good was her campaign manager? You know, how good were her skills as far as running? Even before you even look at any of that, you know, she could be the best in the whole world, and the math is so far against her that, you know.
But only 22% voted?
Only 22% of the registered voters voted. Now, that number may go up a little bit because they haven't probably totally counted, but still.
Then I don't want to hear anything out of that district.
Well, I hear you.
Send all the immigrants there.
But the point is, Dave, you're not going to hear anything about the district because that district got who they wanted. The district is so heavily skewed Democrat. They're not. They voted for Nathan Fletcher.
Yeah, that's true. So even if it was 80%, she would have still lost.
Likely. I mean, you know, like I said, if every Republican had shown up and voted, now I don't know why they didn't vote.
She still would have lost.
Well, she may have been able to pull it off, but that's just not a realistic scenario. Like I said,
see, that's the problem with the Republican Party.
Well, it's the problem with it's human nature. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the Republican Party. I'm certainly not a fan of the Democratic Party, but it's kind of human nature. So to expect a 100% turnout or even a 90% turnout is against human nature.
But and it's also one of the biggest problems with California.
It's a problem. It is 100%.
I mean, it's all over the United States, but California. I mean, that's because we're so heavy on one side.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess, you know, when somebody says, well, could you send money to my campaign?
Well,
why would I send money to your campaign?
Well, definitely don't send money to the party. If anything, send it to the campaign or send it to San Diego County Gun Owners because you trust what.
No, I would send it to you.
But here's the thing. Here's what I want to get across here, though, guys. Is you guys are going, well, wait a minute. Look at all the bad, horrible things that have happened in the last couple of years. Why didn't they vote against it? Because if you talk to the typical voter in District 4, the things you're describing as bad, they count as a success. And until we get that into our heads, we're not going to be effective activists.
Exactly. All right.
That the things that we think are horrible, they think are a success, and vice versa, by the way. Like, if we're like, hey, this person, look what they did for gun rights, they'd be like, yeah, it's a huge failure, you know? So until you understand that there are people who disagree with you, and then start to successfully navigate that,
Right.
it's lost cause.
Sounds like a little bit of an uphill battle.
It's a little bit of an uphill battle.
Hey, is there a better tool that empowers a woman to defend against an attacker that's bigger and stronger?
No, Dave, there isn't.
You need to raise your voice if you're going to do that. That's why it's so important for women to learn how to defend themselves with the most effective self-defense tool ever invented. For women, led by women, that Not Me program is designed to help with training, purchasing a gun, and getting a concealed carry permit. And guess what? It's free. To sign up, go to notmesd.org.
Big shout out to longtime YouTube listener Mike White for joining Orange County Gun Owners. Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you for listening and watching on YouTube. Really, truly appreciate you, my friend. But definitely huge thanks for joining Orange County Gun Owners just today, like half hour ago, Dave.
No kidding.
He joined. Good dude. Speaking of good dudes, our next guest is a longtime friend, really great guy, extremely passionate about the Second Amendment. He was here for Gun Prom, and you may have seen him on a number of different podcasts, but especially Polite Society. My buddy Rob Morris. How are you, Rob?
I am great. It's great to hear you two guys.
It's great
Thanks.
to hear you,
Appreciate
man.
it.
So, how did you enjoy Gun Prom? Let's start right there.
Okay. If you haven't been to Gun Prom, go to Gun Prom. I don't care where you live in the U.S. See what they do in San Diego. Steal their good ideas and go do Gun Prom where you live.
Thank you. That
I
means
agree.
a whole lot. That means a whole lot, my friend. Tell us about, now, your blog can be found at slowfacts.wordpress.com. Tell us about slowfacts.wordpress.com.
You know where that started, Mike and Dave?
Wow.
A buddy, when I was in San Diego, said, hey, you should come to Front Sight because you can't get a carry permit here, but at least you can get decent training in the area. And we're going to Front Sight with our church group. And it opened my mind so much, I went, I want to tell the rest of the world. My first post over a decade ago was about the trip to Front Sight. It's called A Letter Home.
That's cool. I didn't know that. I remember that. I absolutely remember that. I remember reading that now that you bring it up. I didn't know that was your first and on there. Now, tell us about Slow Facts. What does that mean, Slow Facts?
Okay, just you've been on the internet, and back a decade ago, it's the opposite of fast emotions because I'm not a teenage girl. They can go through 50 feelings before I figure out what I'm even trying to talk about. So I thought, wait a minute. You're welcome to your feelings. You're welcome to your opinions, but you're not welcome to your own facts. So let's try and be reasonable. Life's complex. And you know this all the time. You'll try and have a discussion with somebody. Hey, are guns a good idea or a bad? And you're not even asking the same question with them. They have a peculiar perspective on it, and you go, wait a minute, say that again slowly. Okay, from where you're coming from, that makes sense. But that's not where I am at all.
Yeah.
Where can we meet, right?
Well, you're absolutely. I think part of the issue is good and bad is totally subjective. You know,
Well,
my good might be your bad, and vice versa.
You, in fact, you were talking about that. But, and that's where we can, now here's something else you and I do when we get in these conversations. We think we're going to convert somebody to our side, and I think there are, to steal a phrase, 50 stepping stones in between. Almost said shades of gray. Won't go there. That's a different podcast.
It's a whole different podcast.
There are 50 steps between someone who's never touched a gun, thinks guns are bad because they only know what they see in the media, and on the other end are the people at Gun Prom who said, wait a minute, I carry every day. It's a good thing. And the history that they get from the media is so distorted, I want to talk to you about it. I just wrote about it a little bit.
So what? Okay, so all right, that's perfect. Let's take a step back again. Your first blog, your first article, A Letter Home.
Right.
What was the big aha or epiphany, or what was the experience that you had that had such an impact on you? Describe that.
It's okay. This is like saying you should go learn about carrying a firearm. You should learn how to defend yourself with it. So we're going to dump you into a 4-day, 40-hour class. Can you swim yet? So it's intense. Mm-hmm. It's very focused, and everyone was there. There was literally an old vet could barely walk. There was a grandma who was, periodically, she goes, "Can you help me load this mag?" "Yes, ma'am. Glad you're here." And they all took it with the seriousness you'd expect. Did they perform the same? No. If you will, the final exam is a hostage target. It's you have a silhouette and two partial silhouettes behind it. You write your name or the name of a loved one on the center silhouette. Okay, back up 7 yards, 21 feet. Shoot the heads that are to the side of your loved one. You know what? Grandma didn't miss. Grandpa didn't miss. No one missed.
Isn't that amazing?
Because it's so serious. To me, that was not about their shooting skills. That was about their dedication over 4 days. So they felt the weight of the gun, the moral weight of the gun. I bet there are, I know there are. There's some places where you can go and shoot simulated firearms. It's in the Phoenix area, but it's an amusement. Nobody thought this was funny. Everybody realized what was at stake. So that was my takeaway. Wow, these folks are serious.
And getting that message out to the world, I don't think that message has been. It's not as mainstream as it should be. It's not as popular. It's not as widespread as it should be.
Well, we don't know what we don't know. We have the attitude that our neighbor, if they have a gun, is just like we are. And yet, if I took a neighbor who hasn't touched guns, I said, "Would you like to touch this?" Their first response, which makes perfect sense, is to go, "I don't know how yet. I don't think I should even pick it up." And you go, "You are perfect." Michael and Bill, I'm sorry.
Dave. But yeah, go ahead.
Dave, yeah. I went to watch a bunch of teachers become defenders in their school.
Oh, wow.
And they had almost the same attitude. Now, they've been carrying guns, but they go, "Do you know what could happen here if I miss?" And they talk themselves out of the program. Some of them did. And then we do medical training the next day, and they go, "I know this is fake blood. It's corn syrup and red dye, and it's going to stain my clothes, but I would do anything to make sure this isn't one of my kids or one of my colleagues." And they realize that they're the only thing standing between the people they love and something horrible.
Well, one of the things that I don't think a lot of people put this piece together, but it definitely occurs to me a lot when I'm, dealing with city councils and dealing with resolutions and studies and new regulations or whatever and lawsuits. There are definitely some issues in the United States. There are some problems that need to get solved. There's a positive impact we could have on suffering. For a very, very broad term. There are people out there that are committing crimes. There are people out there that are causing harm to people. Imagine what we could accomplish if the anti-gunners would stop demonizing us, the folks who aren't committing crime, and we got together and said, "Hey, let's work on the things where there is a consensus and stop, this extremist anti-gun agenda and say, hey, let's get together and figure out what can we do to make sure that people decide to, not be criminals. I'm not going to join a gang. I'm not going to be a professional criminal, or I'm not going to commit suicide. I'm not going to commit suicide today.
Yeah.
Imagine what would happen if, and I am completely biased because I've dedicated my whole life to, but it is entirely the fault of the anti-gun folks. Over and over I've said, hey, look, gun owners, we're just living our life, and they're the ones that are coming and, hitting us in the eye. And people, San Diego County Gunner, we don't have an agenda. What we do is we stand in the way of other people's agendas because we're just trying to live our life. But imagine, Rob, if the anti-gunners would stop being anti-gunners and would decide to become a part of what are some very real solutions. Imagine what we could accomplish.
We could move mountains, and we are. I mean, what was it? Just last month, we had I forget 1 million and change new gun owners. We are changing the world. We don't see it every day. There was something I read, Michael. When you look at people that commit violent crimes, the people who commit aggravated assault, 70% of them are intoxicated when they do it.
Wow.
So is this a spinoff of alcohol and drug addiction? If we fix that, violent crime would drastically reduce. Now, are there still professional criminals? Yep. Okay. But we've taken a big bite out of that.
Yeah. It's amazing to me that people don't see what we see, which is unfortunate.
Thank God you're there.
But thank God we're all here. There's so much work to be done and so many people doing good work. So one of your blogs, one of your articles, your armed neighbors stop violent crime and save lives. Talk a little bit about that.
Okay, most people. Okay, what the media sells us is clickbait. If there's a story where
you know what, my timing was horrible. Rob, let's finish that. Let's finish that. I was so into talking to you. But let's on the other side of this commercial. I'm teeing you up. We're going to talk about that article.
Hey, a lot of companies wasting an enormous amount of money on marketing. The design is excellent. The photos are beautiful. Your website looks great, but it's just not getting customers. Why? Well, because you don't have the words that make people buy. But now you can fix that with Sage Tree. Sage Tree can help you find the words that make it easy for your customers to understand what you do and how to buy from you. Stop wasting money today and schedule a call. Getting started is real easy. Just visit sagetree.com, click on the schedule an appointment button. That's what I said, sagetree.com, and click on that schedule a call button, and you will be totally satisfied.
Okay, we're talking to my good buddy Rob Morris, and I just before we went to commercial, asked him about his article, Your Armed Neighbors Stop Violent Crime and Save Lives. And you were just starting to get into that. Can you talk about that?
Well, I want to back up that commercial you had during the break.
Yeah.
It's what does it take to make a sale? And you've been doing this for years, Michael and Dave. It takes several handshakes. You don't make a sale the first time. Mm-hmm. And especially with our media, we're being told a really skewed version of reality. There's a story where a local jeweler stops a robbery with a firearm. Get out of my store. Bad guy runs away. Okay. Does the media cover that story? If the guy in the local stop and rob, the convenience store, gets shot, they'll cover that story. And for each time they happen, the bias isn't, well, they cover the robbery a few more times. It's they cover the robbery 1,000 times more. So we forget that our neighbors use a gun to save their own lives.
Yes, they do.
And, okay, so it's not that our neighbors, when we have this discussion, are trying to have their own facts. It's they're struggling through this fog of media bias. The numbers look like, I've been at it for about a decade. I started with you. Thank you for a good start. It looks like we defend ourselves about 2.8 million times a year. What's that? San Diego City, not the county. That's twice the population of San Diego City. Yeah. It's all the adults in San Diego County. That's a lot of people. That matters. That's not, that's an inconsequential statistic down along the 8th largest city in the United States. No, that's not trivial. and people go, well, we need to do gun control because it'll save one life. I go, you do understand that my neighbors used a firearm to stop over 300,000 sexual assaults last year. Let's start there. And you want to say that we don't, until they understand the size of our virtues, we're not really on the same page. They're arguing about what they see in the media, and you and I are going, you understand, my neighbors are wonderfully virtuous and safe. The thing I love, and this is California DOJ didn't know they were doing us a favor, because firearms owners are licensed. We know about their criminal history because concealed carry permits are so regulated. If one of those concealed carriers so much as stubs their toe, it's covered and their statistics are gathered, they're more law-abiding than the police.
Way more. It's not, and it's significantly more than people who hold CCWs commit fewer crimes than the general population. They commit fewer crimes than law enforcement as a group. I think that's it's a hilarious, to me. It's hilarious. It's a hilarious statistic because it's kind of a "I told you so" statistic.
Well, on the other hand, it is one of those. Yeah, but is it meaningful? Both numbers are small. Both numbers are enormously smaller than the general population. And when you get down in those really skinny statistics, it turns out sociologists find it hard to tell the difference between very small numbers. Like, we just don't commit enough crimes to get statistical data. So a buddy of mine goes, okay, we thought the most law-abiding people in the world were married Japanese men. They go, but we can't tell the difference between them and people who have their concealed carry permits. Neither of them committed enough crimes, so we got to call it a tie. It's hiding within. And you said, look, you've been doing this for a while, both of you. If we wanted to save lives tomorrow, we forget that mass murder is tremendously rare. There were 62 victims in 2020 of mass murder. There were 22 victims out of 2 school attacks last year. The great news is those are small numbers. We have never, ever, ever had an attack at a school where we took down the no gun signs.
Jeez.
Funny thing.
The attacker in Nashville, we just got they leaked her manifesto. And one of the things she says as she's about to go kill children in a Christian school, I hope no one there is armed. She told us. She's not unusual. All of them say that. They go find innocent victims. They're not going for a gunfight.
Right. No, it's a good way to put it. They're not going for a gunfight. They're going to cause terrorism and
they want bullets going one way.
Yeah. So you're saying if we as a society wanted more law-abiding citizens, then we should do one or two things. We should force more people to become married Japanese men. Or maybe it's a little easier to promote the idea of becoming not just a gun owner, but a carry permit holder. And statistically, we'd have a safer society.
Well, how about if every school put a sign up and said this school is armed and ready,
or didn't just or actually made their school armed and ready? Didn't even have the sign.
You
but
can't
then also
get that. No one's going to go for that. But if you just put the sign
just put the sign up.
Well,
okay. I'm so glad you said that. You do know that there are 36 states that allow armed school staff.
Wow,
is it up to 36?
California is not one of them.
Well,
I'm sorry. Now, hold on. Let's back up, though. I think, 10 years ago, there were schools in the Central Valley, right near our prison, by the way, where they said, if anything happens, law enforcement's really busy, and I don't want the problem to start here. And not too long after, this was during the open carry walks, the California legislature then said, that what you were doing to keep our kids safe, you can't do that anymore. Okay, It's going to take some education, but we'll get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's interesting.
Totally.
So what? I mean, I don't even think of myself. I think of myself. I'm a civil rights activist. I'm a civil rights activist. I don't. It's gotten to the point where there is a separation between me. When I think about this, there's a separation between what I do, what I advocate for, and like Front Sight, which I know sounds odd. It sounds odd.
No, 100%.
But I think to myself, look, I'm fighting for a tool that helps women prevent sexual assault. I'm fighting for a tool that helps women, fight against and stop domestic violence. I'm fighting for a tool that helps people of color defend against racists. I'm fighting for a tool where the meek are able to stop from becoming victims of violent crime. It's almost to the point where the hobby is completely different from what I'm advocating for, which it's not different, but it's to the point where that's what's in my head is like, look, what I do and what our organization does and what Rob does and what everybody's trying to do here, we're trying to get that tool in as many hands and educate them on it as possible, because that does good. That makes society a good place if they're able to defend themselves.
I want to ask you something, though, because you've talked to a lot of people who have the media version of firearms, which is part media, part Hollywood, in their heads, and you say we have a right to this, and they're thinking John Wick.
Right.
And they're going, I don't know that I like that. So now and I use the numbers to try and pry people off of the Hollywood version to say, look, you've got it wrong. We're nice folks. We're good people. Get away from the left coast and the right coast and flyover country is really pretty squared away.
Or even hunting, Rob. Even if it's not, for me, I think it's more hunting than like.
What do you mean?
Than Hollywood.
What do you mean?
I don't like people's. Well, gee, I'll say, Second Amendment guns is what I do for a living. They go, my uncle used to hunt or whatever. I'm like, hunting. That I don't hunt. I've never hunted. I'm not really all that particularly interested in hunting, and this has nothing to do with hunting. Like that. What you've been exposed to is not what I'm trying to do here. I'm not. I don't want to make sure that people can. I'm not trying to make sure protect against an uprising in the deer population. Like I'm not afraid that whitetails are gonna decide they've had enough and try to take this place back. Hunting has nothing to do. Like, oh well, my grandpa used to hunt and he taught me and he took me hunting. Okay, it's got nothing to do with what I mean. It's almost like you're like you talk to somebody, you like to bake? Well, great, you must know a lot about farming. No, I don't know anything about farming. I'm a baker.
Do you remember the gal? And I've met her face to face. I can't remember her last name. I'm pretty sure her first name's Amanda. She was I think she was still an undergraduate trying to focus on nursing, University of Nevada, Reno, taking tests, right? Staying late at night into the term. The police station that's on campus has shut down at night because the students are there so late taking exams. She gets abducted and raped in the parking lot.
Jeez.
She's a concealed carry holder. Didn't carry on campus because it was a gun-free zone.
Yeah, another fantastic government policy.
Absolutely.
And she finally went. Now the crazy thing: do you want an admission of guilt? She goes to the administration of the university and says, "I'm carrying. I dare you to tell me I can't, because I'll eat you." Whoops.
There you go. Rob, absolutely love you to death, man.
Absolutely. Where
do people find you? Go to slowfacts.wordpress.com. Is there anything else you want to make sure that people know about?
the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Comes out once a week. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Dave.
You bet. Right. Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Look for my buddy Rob Morse, an absolute, just a mensch and a gentleman and a giant among men. Thank you so much for everything you do, Rob.
Hey, if you are a gun owner,
I am,
and if you've ever needed to use your gun to protect yourself or your loved ones, you need legal protection. Watch the news. Even if you do everything right, even if you're 100% justified, you should be prepared for the legal battle after your self-defense battle. We've seen it right here in San Diego, where an innocent man showed his firearms to discourage a violent attacker, and you had to spend thousands of dollars in legal fees to restore his freedom and rights. That's why you need Firearms Legal Protection. When you join you get uncapped legal protection for self-defense for civil or criminal cases with a 24/7 hotline. Joining is easy. Just go to firearmslegal.com, click on the Become a Member, use code GOR for a discount. Enjoy the peace of mind knowing that you are protected if you are ever involved in a self-defense incident. Firearmslegal.com and use discount code GOR.
All righty, it's time for everybody's favorite segment, Stump My Nephew. We found out years ago that my nephew, Sam, the gunman, is really good at gun trivia.
Where did you get this question?
From Jack from Orange County.
Have you read it?
I haven't read it yet.
Holy moly.
What is it? Oh, yeah. That's interesting. I wonder if we'll know this. Sam, you there?
Yeah, how are you guys?
Fantastic. Okay, everybody. If you send us a question and we use it on the air, we'll give you a hat or a shirt. If you stump my nephew, we'll give you some kind of cool prize. Might be tickets to gun prom, might be something else. You'll definitely get a hat or a shirt if we use your question. But if we stump him, you'll get something even specialer.
This is a Cold War question.
It is a Cold War question.
Are you up on that?
Well, it depends on how obscure I can't know everything.
Yes, you can.
It seems like he does.
I know.
All right, here you go. Ready?
Here we go.
Jack.
So.
This guy's name's Jack from Orange County, and I don't know Jack.
I knew you were going to say that. I just knew it.
Jack from Orange County says, what is the Davy Crockett nuclear rifle? What is the Davy Crockett nuclear rifle?
Boom, 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 boom.
This is a fun question. Jack from Orange County, thanks very much for writing in, and thanks for picking a fun one. The Davy Crockett was it's really hard to categorize because it's kind of two types of weapons in one. It is a recoilless rifle with a tactical nuke as the payload. The idea here was that you would have I think it was the M29 Davy Crockett recoilless rifle mounted to the back of a Jeep or something else that made it very portable. And then when the Cold War inevitably went hot and a million T-72s began pouring through the Fulda Gap in southern Germany, they would fire this off, and this nuclear device would detonate, and really activate is probably a more apt descriptor for how they work. But anyway, it would shower the Fulda Gap, which is a very strategically important mountain pass, in a blanket of radioactive material, such that any machines and so forth moving through it at the time would be destroyed or irreparably damaged, and it would be impossible to move any tanks or other armored vehicles through it for some time afterward, thus giving NATO a chance to strike back.
I think that's right. I think that's what he's saying. Here's the answer they provided. Developed during the Cold War, it was one of the U.S.'s smallest nuclear weapons ever created that fired the M388 nuclear projectile, which had a yield equivalent of 10 to 20 tons of TNT. For comparison, the bombs used against Japan in World War II were 15 to 20 kilotons, about 1,000 times more. So about 1/1000th of the 15 to 20 kilotons used in World War II. or 10 to 20 tons of TNT. Davy Crockett nuclear rifles had several problems. They were difficult to use and inaccurate, which is not something.
Not good.
That's not something you want. I mean, that's okay in like a 22.
Yeah, not this.
But not a nuclear weapon. You know, those are two very bad, whatever. Anyway, okay, there was no
Bad
way.
analogy.
Bad. I don't know what I'm trying to say. There was no way of stopping the projectile from exploding if there was an accidental discharge. Further, the range was 1.25 miles, which is beyond the immediate fatal range, but well within the fallout range of 5+ miles. So why didn't this work? Why don't we have these?
Well, the biggest reason is because there was never an invasion across the inner German border into Western Europe, for which we can all be thankful, especially those of us, myself included, who were born after that would have happened. But small nuclear devices pop up a lot in fiction, but they aren't really economically viable and aren't really militarily useful per se because of the, no pun intended, the political fallout of using any kind of nuclear device regardless of its yield. And also that the cost doesn't really scale that much. So it's not, like you said, the yield was 10 to 20 tons of TNT equivalent. It would not cost 1/1000th as much to make one of those as it would to make something that yields 20 kilotons.
That is an interesting. That's a very interesting observation. Like, let's say we dropped 20 tons. Let's say we dropped 20 tons of TNT on a target. You know, people are like, oh man, that's, it's effective and that's tragic or whatever.
It may not be that big.
But if we sent the exact same size weapon and it happened to be nuclear, or nuclear,
then
if you're President Bush, nuclear.
Yeah.
Then it would have been a whole political thing.
Well, I got a bonus question.
All right.
Why are they bagging on Davy Crockett?
I don't think they're bagging on him. They named it after him.
Why would they do that? He was a patriot.
Well, he killed Tim Bar when he was only 3.
I know.
So if you're gonna go after the Russian bear,
then you do it with Davy Crockett.
You do it.
Okay, then I think you have the answer. Let's hear the ding ding.
What do I win? Correct.
What do you think?
Why do you think they called it the Davy Crockett nuclear rifle?
I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Your guess is probably significantly better than mine in this case.
I'm going with that.
Yeah, well, he's been ad-libbing all day. So
the Ruski bear.
Yeah, the Ruski.
All right. Well, that's cool, man. I don't know why you know that. It always baffles me why you know all these things.
Because it was a fun question.
Well, yeah, it is, but I don't know how. I don't know where did you read about that? I remember I read an autobiography. A guy, he was high ranking, enlisted, Green Beret, Vietnam era, and it was called Operation Copperhead. Man, it was a really interesting book. And the reason I read it is one of my best buddies when I was a kid. His dad was in it because his dad was a Green Beret and he served with this guy. And one of the things that this guy did is they experimented, in the, I believe it was I want to say it was the 80s, might have been the 70s, where they had Green Berets with backpacks, and the backpacks had nuclear weapons.
What?
Yeah. So and then the idea was they were going to send some Green Berets in with these backpacks, and they'd strategically place them and then get the hell out of there and blow them up. I don't really know if it had a fuse system or what the deal was, but I don't think they ever used it. But they're really trying to get creative. I think that just sticking them on the end of missiles is probably the best idea.
Okay, so this one's for you, Sam. I was watching Antique Roadshow, and this lady...
Was there a tactical nuke on there?
No, but she had a projectile, and I can't remember. I think it was the 1800s, and it was tall, and she used for a doorstop. Had a cement bottom, then the cast iron top with a hole in it, and they used to fill it with gunpowder and put a cork in it. And one of the things that they stated, which I thought was interesting, is that gunpowder will stay active as long as it's sealed with a cork. But the problem was more people got hurt. They would find them, and they would remove the cork, and somehow this thing would grenade.
I mean, that sounds like it could have been like a cannonball for like Civil War.
Yeah, but it was tall and it looked like a bullet, but it was really big.
Yeah.
And she bought it for $5, and I think they said it was worth $1,000.
Wow.
But it didn't have any cork, and it didn't have any gunpowder.
All right.
But I thought of you, Sam.
Yeah. All right. Hey, you have an article that you want to talk about, or that's coming up, or one that you want to highlight?
I've got one coming up, kind of a fun one. I get tired of being negative all the time. Whenever these political topics come up, it's time to be negative, and I sit down and I go, it's time to do this again. But I get tired of it.
I don't blame you. Throw a positive out.
I got to tell you, man, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm a glasses half full guy when it comes to Second Amendment. I've been saying this for the first time in a long time. The light at the end of the tunnel isn't a train. I think we're on the winning side. It's going to take time. It's going to take effort.
It's going to happen. We're farther now than we've ever been.
And I can see the path. I can see the path. But we need everybody to.
Can you see the light?
I can see the light, and again, it's not a train coming. So we just need everybody to join. We need everybody to volunteer a few hours. We need everybody to read Sam's blogs and share them. We need everybody to just do a little bit more than you did last year, and boom, we're going to continue to win.
And it's not a red light.
It's not a red light.
It's not a tail light.
All right, my friend. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy,
for coming on, and what an awesome job you did. And
have a good evening
next week. Thanks for watching this episode from Gun Owners Radio. If you're watching mainstream media, you're not getting the truth about guns and the Second Amendment. Gun Owners Radio is the easiest way to stay on top of the Second Amendment fight, the fight for your self-defense rights. You can watch our live stream on YouTube every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, or if you're in San Diego, AM 1170, FM 96.1, The Answer. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform. Just do a search for Gun Owners Radio and you'll find our show. Don't forget to support our sponsors. Click on the links in the show notes and support the businesses that support your Second Amendment rights. Like and subscribe to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.